Okay, we're on page 25 in the grammar book, and we might as well, when you're ready. Uh-oh. It's like your binder popped open. Oh, it's exploding already. It's not good. Oh, no. Okay, it's not too bad. You got it. Or other stuff. Yeah, we can organize that later. There we go. There you go. Yeah, watch out for the binders, man. People get hurt. Pinched in there. Oh my gosh. It's happened to me too, like get a paper cut from the edge of it. Sometimes this part is like really sharp. If you accidentally run your finger along it, it's like, oh. And they're vicious. I know, right? 25 is where we're at. And then we might as well do the flag salute. Jane is the only one physically here, so we'll do this together. I'm just talking to the camera. Nobody's there yet. I think Lily's coming now, so. Okay, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, 25. We are talking about adverbs. Might as well sit down with you here. An adverb modifies a verb. We already know that. Just tells a little bit more about it, gives us a visual of what's going on in the sentence. Sometimes it modifies an adjective or another adverb. It always tells how, when, where, why, and to what extent. So if you look at that memorize it part, if you can remember those questions, how, when, where, why, and to what extent, that will help you identify the adverb. So see where it says market, it says write ADV above each LY adverb. Easy. The deer carefully hid in a secluded thicket. And carefully, a lot of times it has the LY, so that makes it really easy. Just put ADV on top of that. And it dresses up writing. We know that because you use them in your writing now, so it's part of your checklist. And then noun of direct address, I'm going to jump down to that one because that one's kind of new to us. We already know what a noun is. And then when you're talking about direct address, it means like you're addressing someone directly. It says it's referring to someone directly. It names the person spoken to. It can appear in any natural pause in a quoted sentence. So here's the 3 examples in the middle of the page. Robin, tomorrow you will win the contest, his friend said. So because his friend is talking to Robin, that's called a noun of direct address. You don't have to label it or anything in this book. They just want you to know what it is. The next example says, tomorrow, Robin, you will win the contest. So there it is in kind of the middle of the sentence. It can go there sometimes too, but that's who he's talking to. And then the last example, tomorrow you will win the contest, Robin, his friend said. Same thing, even though it's at the end of the sentence, it's who he's talking to. And then the comma rule down there, we're going to skip down to these. There's only one comma rule, and it says place commas around the noun of direct address. So whether it's at the beginning of the sentence, the name, comma after that, it's in the middle, you put commas before and after, and then if it's at the end of the sentence, then you put a comma before it. So there's always a comma near the noun of direct address. So at the very, very bottom, the example says, Robin, you should enter the contest, his friend suggested. So comma right after Robin, because that's who he's talking to. Any questions about that page? No, you're good. Okay. Turn the page to 26. I keep looking because I'm looking for Lily to log in. She hasn't logged in yet. Let's see if they're texting me. Okay. Homophone. Remember, homo means same. Homophone means sound, so basically it's a word that has the same sound, but spelled differently and means different things. So we're looking at it's, and you can see them right here at the end of it's and your. So they sound the same, but spelled differently with different meaning. So right here is where I'm at now. So like it's without the apostrophe is a possessive pronoun. Its target, the target belongs to it. And the next example is it's with an apostrophe. That's a contraction. It is. So like it's spring. Right now it's fall outside. So it's another way to say that homophone or to describe it. The next one is your, Y-O-U-R. It's a possessive pronoun. So your bow means the bow belongs to you. And then your with an apostrophe, uh-oh. Okay, yeah, she just said it's not working. Okay. Sorry, let me respond to her real quick. Okay. Your with an apostrophe R-A-R-E is a contraction. You are. So you're right means you are right. So those are examples of homophones. I just wanted to point those out for you. They're going to do it wrong in this book on purpose because they want you to catch their mistakes. So the example down below here is it's trying to hide, but its antlers are showing. So they put the wrong it's first. So it really should be it's with an apostrophe S. It is trying to hide. It's trying to hide, but its antlers are showing. The antlers belong to it. They don't know if it's a boy or girl. And sometimes like if you see a deer, well, a deer, you can usually tell if it has antlers, it's probably a boy. If it doesn't, it's usually a girl. But when they're babies, they don't have those yet, right? So it's hard to tell if they're a boy or a girl. So anyway, the next example says you're on your way to the archery test or contest. You are on your way, so you're with an apostrophe. So all you're going to end up doing is putting a line through it and then writing it the correct way above it. Any questions about that? Let's go to the practice. How about, can you read it today?
Immediately took offense and challenged the
If you take off the at the end, you see forest.
forester.
There you go.
Sir, do you see the deer at the edge of the wood? I bet you 20 pounds that I can get it.
Good. So pounds is like in England, that's how they do their money. So instead of saying dollars, they say pounds. That's what that means. But and the vocabulary word is offense. You know what offense means? Can I explain that? Like when you're offended by something, hard to know how to explain that, but it's like when you're bothered by it or you're hurt by it, somebody said something that's offensive, offense. So he took offense to something, probably something somebody else said on the page before during your homework. So basically it just means when you're bothered or hurt by something. So go ahead and put a check by vocabulary. And then we have 4 articles, 4 of them. So go ahead and find those by yourself and label those. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They're all of those. Is there really 4 of those? 1, 2. Oh yeah, there is. Okay, they're all of those. 8 nouns. Yes, that's a noun. Forester. Deer. Hounds, yep. Yes. Not hit, that would be a verb. So look for the article the. That usually comes before a noun.
edge,
Edge is a noun, good. And then in that quote, he's talking to Sir. So Sir is actually gonna be a person, it's gonna be a noun. Is that all of them?
that's,
7. Oh, I know what it is. It is offense. Because took offense, the verb took is right before, so offense is actually a noun. Good. Pronouns, 5 of those, bunch in there. Not Robin. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes, good. You is a pronoun. Is that all of them? 1, 2, 3, 4. Missing one? It, and then the 2 I's. You. Wait, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I think we got them all. You count 5? And then it.
one, two, three,
Oh, wait.
four,
What am I missing? Oh. What are we missing? Oh, it's a typo. You got that. Oh, there's another you. That only took us like 5 hours. Like, where is it? Okay, got the pronouns. So they're the I's and the U's and the it. Okay. And an adjective. That's gonna tell,
20.
yes, 20. Very good. Adverb. Yes, good. So pretty easy with the ly. Coordinating conjunction, that's fanboys. Good, that was quick. CC for that. And are you ready for the phrases?
Of the wood,
Of the wood is one.
um, the edge,
Yes, good. At the edge is the other one. Okay, check that. That clause, pretty easy. Starts with that. Where does it go? To the end, to it. So that I can hit it is the that phrase. I mean, clause. Did I call it a phrase? It's a clause. And then the subject verb. So let's find the verbs first.
it,
Yes.
see,
Yes. See, excuse me.
took,
Mm-hmm. Took.
show,
Yes. Good. There's gonna be more than 4. There's like 1, 2.
that,
That. Yes. There's 1, 2, 3, 4.
do,
Do. Yes, that's right. And can. Good. Do you have 7?
and 1, 2, 6, 7.
Good. Very good. And then the subjects that go with those. So who took offense?
Water,
Good. And who?
sir,
That's a tough one because it's a noun of a direct address. It's do you. It's the you that's the actual subject. Because they're just telling who they're talking to, but
um,
and then the last sentence. Who bet
I.
you? Yes, I. And then inside of that clause is another subject.
Um,
Sorry, excuse me. My goodness, I'm gonna nap. Okay, that's right. All of those are the subjects, so go ahead and check that. 4 capitals.
Open,
Yep,
sir,
yes,
I,
yes,
and
and I again, good. Comma rules.
um, the comma, take away the comma by the and.
By offense, yep, because you're only listing 2 things, took and challenge, so you don't need a comma there, good.
And
The other one has to do with that noun of direct address that we talked about in the quote.
okay,
Like when you're talking to someone and you say their name, like the example was like Robin, comma,
sir,
yes, good. So sir, comma, because that is the noun of direct address. He's talking to the sir. And then the end mark. Yes. And the period, when you go to rewrite it, goes on the inside of the quotation marks. It's hard to squeeze it in there, but. Good, very nice. Awesome, you did it all by yourself. Woohoo. Any questions about that? You're good? Okay. And then binder. The miller, his son and their donkey. So did you get a chance to write yours?
I typed it.
Oh, good, yay. Awesome. Did you write it and type it? You did both?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, there it is. Do you like typing? I remember asking you, but I can't remember what you said.
Well, yeah,
Kinda.
kind of.
You like writing kind of better, huh? Like handwriting?
Yeah.
If you had to choose, I guess. Do you mind? Oh, go ahead.
Handwriting is easier, but I like the challenge for typing.
Okay. Are you learning how to use all your fingers yet? Good. Because once you get that down, you're gonna love typing because it's so much faster. So, yeah, that's fine. I would love to hear your story though. You read it to me. Cool.
So I put the name as the Happy Donkey.
Oh, cute. Okay.
A miller and his son were heading to a busy town to sell their donkey. Some women were chatting on the side of the road. They rudely opinionated and were also bossy and noisy. They gave the miller and his son some advice which was questionable. The woman said, "Why walk when you can ride?" So the son took the advice and got up on the donkey. Then an old man chimed in and said, "Let your father ride." So the son quickly bounced off and the miller hopped on the donkey. A person in the crowd who saw them called out, "Poor boy," so the son jumped back on the donkey. The donkey was tired, burdened, and weak from carrying their weight. Suddenly, a different man sarcastically said, "You might as well carry the donkey like it carries you." Then the miller and the sons tied all 4 feet of the donkey to a long pole. A lot of people were laughing and making jokes while they were crossing a giant bridge, causing the donkey to spook because he was frightened. The donkey struggled, which caused the ropes to break. Next, he sprang into the river and floated away. The donkey found a forever home miles away from the town with an old lady who liked to keep her opinions to herself, and he was happy.
Yay! Good job. I'm so glad you gave it a happy ending. You know how I felt about that story.
Yeah,
Can I look at it actually?
I accidentally underlined the back because,
Oh, that's okay.
yeah,
That's coming, but not yet.
yeah, it's coming.
It's coming. I think at the very beginning, what was it that you stopped on something? I think it was opinionated. Okay, they were rudely opinionated and were also bossy. Okay, you got it. That makes sense. I really like it. I especially like how you ended it. It's really good. And you did your let's talk for a minute though, because I think you needed to fix only one actually. When you have characters talking, it's kind of hard to remember all that, like the punctuation and where the quotation marks go and stuff. Yeah. So in your, let me see what page it is. If you ever have a bunch of talking parts in your story, you can always refer back to your grammar book, actually. Let me figure out which page it is really quick and then I'll tell you. But there's a little chart in here that you can use. It's week 15. Oh, we haven't really talked about it yet. Do you have any post-it notes with you by chance? In your bag? Oh, cool. Okay, go ahead and get one of those out or get the pack out. Oh yeah, this will be a good one. If not, I think I have one in the back there. No? I think I have one back there. You have the same backpack as one of my other students. You. I have a little one. This will work. I would put quotations on there, on the part that's not sticky. Quotations. Because there are some rules with punctuation with that. And that way, when you're writing, because we will probably have other stories where characters are talking.
Yeah.
Quotations. So what we're doing is making a little post-it note for your grammar book. We decided to go back to the grammar book for a second. The sticker is going to go on page 85. I know we haven't really talked about page 85 yet. It's not till later. Actually, here, let me help you put this in here. If you write it on this side where it's not sticky, put it up here because you won't see it if you put it that way. You know what I mean? So we're just labeling that page 85 for the examples of how to set up your quotation marks and punctuation and stuff like that. So on that page in the margin, you'll see right here is a good reference. So when the attribution comes first, if it's like he said, then you put a comma, and then notice that the quote is capitalized. So you're going to treat a quote like a regular sentence no matter what. If the quote comes first, then you put a comma in the middle and before the quotation, the end quotation mark, and then the attribution. I'm looking at page 85. Attribution, comma, quote with a question mark. And then if it's a question and the quote comes first, then you would do the quote with a question mark and then the attribution. And then with an exclamation mark, it would go attribution, comma, quote, and then quote, no comma, and then attribution. So like for here, I think I did a couple of them good, but one of them, yeah, this one right here. The woman said is, I think it's a period, but it should be a comma.
Yeah.
Did you already fix it? There we go. And then you're right about that. Actually, that does need to be capitalized because it's the beginning of the quote. Yeah, there you go. Why am I so? And then here you have it right. You said, then the old man chimed in and said, comma, quote, that's correct, but then let needs to be capital. So go ahead and either, yeah, write it in. There you go. Good. Uh-oh. So the son quickly bounced off and the miller hopped on the donkey. I like how you said bounced off. A person in the crowd who saw them called out, poor boy. So here, again, you have a comma, which is correct, but then poor should be capitalized. And that's where I think, that's okay. Uh-oh, do you need water? I don't have any cups, but can you drink out of your hands?
Yeah.
Okay. You need to go to the bathroom?
Sure.
Okay, back there, you can use the sink and get some water in your hands. So she needed to go get a drink of water. So we're gonna just talk about those quotation marks and the rules with punctuation with that. So if you wrote the donkey story with the miller and the donkey, you probably have some speaking parts in there because there's a lot of speaking parts. So make sure that you check that on your homework. If you have the attribution first, like he said, and then a comma, and then the quote is always going to be capital for the first word. So use that page 85 to help you with your punctuation on that. I think, let's see. That's good. Okay, so we fixed that on the writing, so you'll need to fix yours too to check that. So you can close up your grammar. I just want to show you that page so you can use that later too. Good job on your story. So you can put that one away now. And is this all the stuff with it too? I should bring a hole punch. I always forget, but it would be good to have one so we can stick it in there. This one is gonna go, so we're gonna put away your finished stuff now. The yellow page from that one we just did with the miller and the donkey is gonna go behind stylistic, no, it's gonna go behind model charts and outlines. Yeah, that one needs to go back too. Yeah. So it goes in these model charts and outlines. Yeah, you can put it right back in there. And that one. And then once you get the yellow pages away, we are going to get into banned words. You remember those?
Yeah.
Wait, before you go that way, go to stylistic techniques in your binder, stylistic techniques. And then on your yellow page, it's page 20, what page is
21.
That? 21. You should have, under dress ups, you should have ly adverb for number 1. Number 2 should be who, which, and number 3 is going to be strong verb. So go ahead and write in on number 3, strong verb. That's on page 21 behind stylistic techniques, that yellow page. Okay, and then you're going to go back to the front and get out week 5 from behind source text tab. It's Odysseus and the Cyclops. This is one of my favorite stories. I think you're going to like it. Pretty good one. All the way to page 51, and then that's it. So when you see week 6, leave that in there. We're going to start with banned words, so you can get the blue page out first. And I think Arabella is probably the only one that doesn't hasn't heard about banned words before. So we have words that we are banning, and it doesn't mean that they're bad words. We're not banning bad words. We're banning boring words, okay? Because it's going to force us to come up with some better ways to say it. On your blue page there, that first box at the very top, and it has like a line through it like this, you're going to write see and saw. The other one that we're banning, there's two of them. The next one over is going to say and said. So when you go to write your stories, you're no longer allowed to use seesaw or say said in your writing. We're going to come up with a list of good words to use. So let's look at seesaw first. What's another way to say seesaw? Or saw? Like observed could be one.
What's that word?
Did you forget?
Yeah.
Spotted, maybe?
Yeah, spotted.
Spotted? Like he spotted the car coming around the corner? Or spied, maybe? Go ahead and write these down. So under seesaw, you're gonna write these words. So far we have observed and spotted and spied. Noticed is one. So these are considered strong verbs. That's why we're making this list. So seesaw is a verb. Those are verbs, but they're boring and overused. So this is where we get to challenge ourselves to come up with some better words for that. And you could, if you wanted to later, if it's okay with your parents, you can go to Google and look up what's another word for see or saw, and then you'll get a big list because there's a bunch of them. But what else? We could say watched is one. Yeah. It helps having a little key here. Examined. Stared. We could put stared at. I'm going to put at with it because it kind of, they go together a little bit. Stared at. That's a good list to start with. You can always add to this as you come up with more words for that, for seesaw. And then say said. What's another way to say something? Like instead of he said, he maybe yelled. Whispered. Answered. If somebody's asking a question, they can answer it, or asked, like asked a question. Depends on what your character is doing, obviously, in your story. Responded. Any others? Questioned, I guess that could be one. Cried. Sometimes we use cried, even if it's, you know, obviously it's not the boo-hoo cry, but if you're crying out, like she cried out, watch out, or something like that, right? Cried. Replied. Did we already get that one? No, that's a good one. Replied. Screamed. That's a good start. So you can add to this later if you want to. Or use look up more ideas on what to use. So let me just say it one more time because this is kind of new to a couple people. When you're writing your stories or your paragraphs, you're not going to use see, saw, or any version of those words like seeing or say or said, saying. So no version of those words at all. You're going to have to pick one of these other words to use or look up another word. So try your best not to use them. I'm going to start out being nice, but eventually I'll start taking off points if I see it in there. So try not to use them. All right, so that's the blue page. Just put that behind your stack for a minute. I do want you to get out Odysseus and the Cyclops next. And we're going to read that, and then we're going to set up the story sequence chart for that and work on that story this week. So it's a long one. I'll go ahead and read it because it's pretty long. Oops. That blue page must have been on my blue page. Okay, that's all right. I think it's 49. Yeah, that's okay. Anyway, Odysseus and the Cyclops. It's on page 47. I'm going to start with that. It says, returning home from the Trojan War, the Greek hero Odysseus and his men encountered a great storm that carried them to the island of the Cyclops. Actually has an E there, so it would be technically Cyclopes. So I think that's the name of the island, but the name of the creatures are called Cyclops. These were rude, uncivilized giants who had one round eye in the middle of their forehead. They raised sheep, drinking their milk and making cheese. So this is obviously a fantasy, okay? So these are creatures. Exploring the island, Odysseus and his friends found the cave of the Cyclops Polyphemus, a son of Poseidon. They thought to take some milk, cheese, and lambs as supplies for their journey, but Odysseus chose to remain there, hoping to learn what kind of man this shepherd might be. So they were going to steal from them, but then he's like, well, let's find out about these creatures. Like, what kind of people or creatures are they? So they decided to stick around and kind of observe what was going on there. Returning home that evening, Polyphemus drove his flock inside and pushed a huge boulder across the entrance. After he made a fire, he saw the Greeks hiding in the corner and asked them if they were pirates or traitors. Odysseus responded and explained that they were certainly not pirates, but soldiers returning from a great war. The Cyclops, unimpressed with the story, caught up two of the men and dashed them on the ground, tore them limb from limb, and devoured them, leaving not even the bones. I forgot to tell you this was gory. A little drama in here. Okay, so this creature, this giant one-eyed thing, ate two guys. So, okay, let's keep going. Polyphemus then settled into slumber. That's the big creature with the one eye. Odysseus knew that were he to kill the giant in his sleep, he and his men would surely die in the cave, since there would be no way for them to move such a gigantic rock. The next morning, the giant awoke, milking his sheep, and devoured two more of Odysseus's men. He then left with his flocks, blocking the entrance to his cave with the massive boulder. While the Cyclops was away, they planned their escape. They sharpened a great pole in the cave and hardened the tip in the fire. Odysseus recruited his bravest men to help implement his plan. Polyphemus
returned, milked his goats, and devoured 2 more men. Whoa. Okay, so that's like 6 men so far that he's just decided devour meaning eat. So he's eating them. Ugh. Okay. Odysseus then offered the giant a drink of sweet, strong wine that they had brought with them. It had been given to Odysseus by a priest of Apollo at Ismarus. More on the back here. The Cyclops drank it and enjoyed it, and asked for more, promising Odysseus a gift if he would tell him his name. Odysseus gave him the rest of the wine. My name is No One, answered Odysseus. Now my gift? Okay, so he has a plan inside of his head, and you're going to see how this is going to happen here. Polyphemus responded, Ha! Your gift is that you will be eaten last. He then finished the wine and fell into a sound sleep caused by the strong drink. As he was sleeping, Odysseus and his men heated the sharpened pole until it was red hot, climbed onto the giant's great chest, and with all their might thrust the sharp pole deep into the Cyclops' single eye. The wood hissed in the eyeball like hot iron hisses in water. Odysseus and his men jumped off just as the giant leapt up screaming. He tore the stake out of his eye, pushed the boulder aside, and screamed for help. Are you under attack? Asked the other Cyclops. Polyphemus cried out, No one has hurt me. Get it? Get it? Because he said his name was No One, because he knew he was going to probably yell out like that. No one has hurt me, so. Well, if no one is hurting you, it must be the gods that do it, and we cannot help you against them. The giants returned to their caves. On the 3rd day, the blind Cyclops let his sheep out of the cave one at a time. As he went by, he touched their backs, as he wanted to be sure that the men did not escape. However, Odysseus and his comrades grasped the underside of the large rams and clung to them as they left the cave, evading detection by the Cyclops. So basically they snuck out under these lambs or these sheep. They must have been big sheep though, I'm thinking, like oversized. They hurried to their ship, boarded it, and rowed with all their strength. As they left, Odysseus shouted, You are an evil beast, Cyclops, to devour strangers in your cave, and are rightly served in losing your eye. May the gods make you suffer worse than this. Polyphemus heard him and hurled a great rock into the water, which almost drove the ship back to shore, but the crew redoubled their efforts. Odysseus shouted to the giant, I am not No One. If any ask you who put out your eye, tell them it was Odysseus of Ithaca. The Cyclops hurled another great stone. This one barely missed the ship's stern, but created a huge wave that propelled them almost to the other shore. And that's the end. Weird story. Got these creatures, giant, oversized weirdos with a giant eyeball in the middle of their forehead. Kind of reminds me of Monsters Inc., that one character. And then they're, this creature is eating the men one by one. And so they devise this plan to get out, and they find this pole and they heat it up and make it pointy. And then that's gross. They stab him in the eye. And then he's blind. So then they were able to escape under the sheep. I mean, that's like an everyday thing, right? Just grab the sheep underneath, grab the wool and work your way out. Anyway, okay, that's the story. Let's set up your story sequence chart next. So on your lined piece of paper, go ahead and get that ready. A clean one. And you're just going to put your name and date here at the top left, like we always do, 10/7/24. Entertaining, kind of creepy, but that skip a line, and in the middle, we're gonna put Odysseus. And both and the are not capitalized, but then Cyclops is. Cyclops is singular. If it's more than one Cyclops, it's Cyclopes. Figured that out. We're calling it the Cyclops. That's the one, the main one. And then we're going to do SSC, which stands for story sequence chart. Go ahead and draw your line down the middle of your page, a little to the left if you can, just to, yeah, that's perfect. And then we're building our outline on the right side of that. So you're going to need a Roman numeral 1. And we're going to do 1 through 4 because this story has a lot to it. Skip a line, same with Roman numeral 2. And then same with Roman numeral 3. And then to finish up our chart, we're just going to go right on top of the Roman numerals and draw a line across. And you can go to the edge of your paper so you have plenty of room. There we go. And do you remember what we talked about first in a story sequence chart?
Characters and setting.
Characters and setting, very good. So let's put that here, characters / setting. You remember what questions we asked for that? Like what are those questions? Yeah, who is one? For setting, what do we ask for setting? Where, good. And we'll just add when. Sometimes we don't talk about it, but sometimes we do. So it should be who, where, and when. For characters and settings. So these are the questions you ask in the first paragraph. Those are the questions you answer actually in the first paragraph to kind of set the story. So you're going to mention obviously Odysseus and his men and the Cyclops. Those are the main characters there in the story. In the middle, do you remember what part we talked about in the middle? Oops. I'll help you with this. Conflict. Remember that? Remember what the other word was? There you go. Conflict and problem. We're asking the question, what? And then at the end, climax. There you go. Good. / resolution. This is when we answer how. All right. We quickly ran out of time, but that's okay. It's kind of a different day. Short on time today, but that's okay. Your homework is just going to be to fill out the story sequence chart. You don't have to write the paragraphs yet, because this is going to take a little while to really think about the characters and setting. As you do this, you're going to go through this story in order of how the characters appear in the story. So obviously you're going to start with, like I said, the Odysseus and the Cyclops in the beginning. And you might want to mention that they raise sheep. You're going to go through and kind of give a little background about these characters and where they are, because they're on an island, right? And they're in a cave. So those kinds of details you need to mention here. Now the rules are still the same for the keyword outline inside this story sequence chart. Only 3 words, but you can use symbols and numbers and abbreviations for free. You can use those if you need to. You're basically going to focus only on characters and setting for this, number 1. For number 2, we're moving into the conflict or the problem. What was the problem in this? What was the main problem in this story?
Odysseus and the men were stuck.
They were trapped. Yeah. the Odysseus and his men were trapped inside the cave, and they had to figure out how to solve that. They had to figure out how to escape without dying, because obviously the other half to the problem was Odysseus was, the Cyclops was eating the men, like 2 at a time. So make sure to mention those in your keyword outline here about what the problem was. Then you're going to move into the solution or the resolution. How did they solve that problem? How did they get out?
With the lamb, hiding, well, like.
Oh yeah, but before that, because they had to make him blind first. How did they get him blind?
Had the, and they sharpened it and they heated it up and.
But they had to get him to fall asleep first. You got to back up before that. How did they get him to fall asleep? A lot of wine, right? They gave him that drink and made him sleepy. So he fell asleep, and then they got the pole ready and got it all hot and then stabbed him in the eye and made him blind. And then they were able to hide under the sheep. So you're going to have to figure out how to put all that down here. Okay. In the story sequence chart. So your homework is to just fill out the story sequence chart, and then we're going to talk about it next week, and then you'll be writing it the next week. Okay. And then your grammar pages are your other homework. You have any questions about anything? That's it. Okay. I'm going to turn this off.